Hello, friends. My name is Elle, and this is Linda Moon, and we are here for a deep dive. What we're going to do in this deep dive is we are going to cover our discipleship activity and our event for the summer quarter of Volume 5 of Grow Kids curriculum. So, two things we're going to cover. First, we are going to be looking at the Dream Big workshop, which is our discipleship activity, and we will also be looking at Aqua Ball, which is our summer event. What we're going to do is give you like a big picture view of both of these things and then get a little bit detailed on some of the little details, I guess, to help you make the most of both of these resources. So, Linda, tell us more about what we have planned.
So, grow users, we just want to give you a head start into planning for the discipleship and events for this quarter. So, everything we talk about, we hope that it helps you plan ahead. And if you're not a grow user, that's okay. We hope that you take these discipleship ideas and the events ideas and you can use them somehow. We love when you steal from us. So, what we're going to do now is we're going to give you an overview of the discipleship resource, and then we'll give you some fun tips about how to make it even better than what we've provided. And then we're going to look at an overview of the event and also some fun tips associated with that as well.
So, first, let's take a look at the Dream Big workshop. This is our discipleship activity for the summer quarter. And we'll talk about this later, but it does pair with the teaching series called Up in the Air. And what we're going to do with this particular discipleship activity is we are focusing on the spiritual habit of sharing your story. If you've been using Grow for longer than a year, you know that we always focus on the spiritual habit in the summer. That's because a lot of churches are already thinking about things like mission trips at this time of year. So it's just kind of like a nice, easy pairing. So Linda, why don't you tell us more about like how this discipleship activity works and what this has to do with sharing your story?
Yeah, I'm really excited to share this with you. Dream Big Workshop is gonna kind of remind you of a science fair, where like kids set up little trifolds and homemade experiments and things. Except instead of putting experiments on display, they're going to be sharing about their story. And to help them construct their story, we have provided some prompts, some conversation starters that your volunteers or your families can have with their kids. And we want kids to think about the dreams they've had in the past and current dreams, and maybe some dreams for their future, and just kind of bring that all together just to see the ways in which they can see and notice God working in their lives and just how God has been directing their steps. And so we're going to be asking them questions about like major events in their life and words that they would use to describe themselves, things that they're good at or they enjoy doing, and in addition to all of that, their understanding of Jesus and who Jesus is to them. And the goal for them with all of this is for them to kind of like think into the future, but like also kind of see how God is working and developing their story in the here and now. So I think this is going to be a really valuable experience for everyone involved. And what you need would be just some art supplies, some artifacts maybe they want to bring from home, photos, magazine cutouts, web images, whatever you have to help them kind of build out this collage. And you could also use like the printables that we've provided, and they can put that up as well onto their little presentation boards. So they're basically making a dream board if you've ever made one. So we want volunteers and families to be super involved with this activity because, otherwise it's just going to feel like a project, like homework. And we want people to have just conversations with their kids around this resource. So make sure you talk to your volunteers and talk to your families about how they can coach their kids on what to put on their board and how they can share about it when anyone asks them about it. So, what we would want to do with this is to probably set up like a day, like an event, and have kind of set them all up and have people walk around like a gallery walk and have kids prepare giving their presentations. Or you can like include it into your regular programming and see how that works if you don't want to make it a whole event. It's really simple, but I think through this, kids are going to be able to kind of see that actually I have a story to tell, and you're going to help them find their voice in sharing that story with everyone. So I think this will be really, really, really fun.
So fun. I love this idea. I think it's going to be so cute. We want to see your pictures, so please share them with us. They're going to be amazing. And now that you kind of have the big picture overview, we're just going to give you a couple practical tips on how to make this a little bit more awesome.
The first tip we have for the Dream Big workshop is to choose the format that works for you. I know that seems super intuitive and obvious, but sometimes we kind of see how an activity is laid out and we're like, we can't do this. But I assure you, you can. And so, one way you might want to think about is, do you want to do it with your small groups, or do you want it to be like an at home project with families? You can also have a special day, like we mentioned earlier, about where everyone comes in and just works on it together. And that would also be really engaging. And if you are doing like an at home kit, you might want to send home all the supplies so people don't have to like scrounge for it on their own. And also kind of gives them a little bit of accountability, right? Because like, I handed you these things, now bring it back. So that would be really interesting. And you could also even do it digitally if you're short on time or budget and you don't want to buy a whole bunch of supplies. You can have kids like make PowerPoint slides, Google slides, right? Kids are doing this at school like as young as first, second grade. So I think with their parents' help, especially, I think they could do a digital presentation as well.
Love it. And then our second tip is to pair this activity with the series that is called Up in the Air. If you're following our recommended scope and sequence, that's awesome. You're going to be teaching this series in the month of July. So if all of this timing works out for you, you can hang on to this discipleship activity and do it in July to go along with the series.
And lastly, our final tip for you is to extend the Dream Big experience by inviting special guests. What better way to talk about dreams for the future than to have other people come in and talk about theirs? And I think it'd be really great to have people come in and to just share different ways that they have witnessed God working in their stories as well, and how sometimes it doesn't work out the way you think, or sometimes it works out exactly the way you think. Either way, it would be really encouraging for kids to see this in the wild. We also recommend that you have your volunteers make their own dream boards, because this will be kind of like a mini discipleship activity for them too. But as they build their own boards, they'll have more of a frame of reference on how to coach the kids in their small group as well. So make sure you have all of that. And so kids will have a bunch of worked examples to look at as they build their own boards.
Love it. So we are super excited to see this discipleship activity for sure. It's going to be a blast. But we're not done yet. We have one more thing to talk about, which is our summer event. This is called Aqua Ball because every summer we just feel like is a perfect opportunity for you to get together with kids, with families, with volunteers, maybe even make it like a community event or even other ministries in your church, kind of do something fun together. So, when we talk about Aqua Ball, it's kind of baseball. It's kind of splashing around in a pool. It's kind of merging those things together into some kind of weird new hybrid sport. So that is what Aquaball is all about. Linda, tell us more in a way that is maybe a little bit more specific than the terrible description I just gave.
That was really good, actually. We're just combining all the things we love to do, like baseball, kickball, and splashing around in water to get aqua ball. So, those of you who are not super familiar with how kickball is played, it's kind of the same rules as baseball, right? Like you kick the ball and then you have to run to base. And then once you get to all the different bases and come back home, then you score a run for your team. Except in aqua ball, we have some unique twists, like for getting to first, second, and third and back home, we're going to have these little runners, like plastic sheets, where they have to kind of like slide into base. And each base is going to be a kiddie pool filled with water. So even more splashing around. And so I think this will be really, really fun. And you can have groups get together and like sign up. I think we recommended like teams of 8 or so. Or you can have everybody just sign up to attend and you can make teams on site, whatever works for you. We suggest in the programming that you should make the game last about 20 minutes instead of doing it by score. Otherwise, it would just get really long and everyone will just get kind of pruny from all the water.
Ugh,
So we
gross.
want to set a time limit. And so I think this will be a really great way for your families, even your whole ministry, to come together and do this really fun event.
Amazing. So we just have a few tips for you. Let's cover those now to just help you make this event fun and also safe. We'll talk about that in a second. Okay, so tip number one for you is to test your aqua ball field in advance, like before people are there and before children are running on this. You want to test this and make sure that you've kind of, covered all your bases. No pun intended. Did you like that,
Yeah,
Linda? I know
I
you
did
love
like that.
Thank you. But seriously, like, don't try to do this event On asphalt, that is a bad idea. On concrete, don't do that. You need like a grassy field, preferably one that doesn't have a bunch of potholes in it, because if you're sliding and there's a hole, it's going to be a problem. So, nice, flat, grassy area. These do exist. You can find them, but just be on the lookout and make sure you test it. That's the first tip.
Yeah, and the great thing about testing is you can kind of make it an outing for you and your volunteers, and
Sure.
so have some fun while you test out all the kinks.
Yes.
Our second tip is to kind of set up a little league. We recommend purchasing one or more of these little kiddie versions of it, and just have kids like don't even worry about them playing a game. Just have them splash around and have fun. But it'll kind of look like the aqua ball feel, so they'll be like, "Oh, I'm doing what the big kids are doing." But not really. And so we think it'd be really great. Or you can just make a small version of the field for the little kids and just have a hose on hand, lots of like water toys and things for kids just to have a fun day in the sun.
That's cute. Tip number 3 is to make tournament brackets. If you want this to be like a little bit more competitive, you can split kids up into teams and have like an actual like championship bracket situation. So try that if you are looking for that. Especially with preteens, they would very much enjoy this, I think.
Yeah, and some of the grown-ups too. I think they'd
Also,
be all
yes.
over that. And lastly, once again, our tip is for you to customize it. We want you to make this event work for you. So, for example, if you're concerned about the sliding into base situation, or maybe you don't have the flat grassy area that you might need for this, then you can just take out the plastic sheeting part and just make sure that they run on the grass and just jump into the pool to get into the base, and that would work just as well. They will still have fun and they'll still get wet. So either way, it's a win. And also, if it's not summertime when you want to do this event, so Southern Hemisphere, we got you. Skip the water part unless you feel very daring. And you can fill the kiddie pools with like ball pit balls or just like fun, weird texture things just to make it kind of gross but fun. And just have them run to base in like silly ways, right? They can like walk backwards, they can hop, they can crawl. And so, either way, I think you can make this event work. And lastly, if the kids lose focus and it just kind of turns into a big water fight, like that's completely okay. Like bring out more water blasters, water balloons, and just go wild because the point is everyone is there, everyone's together, and you're having fun.
I love it. Well, friends, that is it for this deep dive for the summer quarter of Volume 5 of Grow Kids. We've covered a discipleship activity, we covered an event, and we are super excited to see what you do with these ideas. Like Linda said, we want you to customize these, we want you to make them your own. Level up these ideas, infuse them with your own creativity, remix them with like other ideas that you've got. Go crazy and then tell us what you did, because we think it's so fun when we get to collaborate with each other, like not in real time, but it's still kind of collaborating. And friends, as always, we would love to hear your stories, see your pictures, videos, all that stuff. You can tag us on Instagram, or you can post those pictures in our Facebook group, which you can find by going to Facebook and searching for Stuff You Can Use, a children's ministry community. And we will see you next time for the next deep dive. We do these every month for every single teaching series, and we do them once a quarter for our discipleship and our events. So you can look for us right around then. Cool? Cool. Goodbye.